Saturday night, I was watching a movie with the neighbors again and didn't have the phone on me. Went upstairs, looked at my phone. There was about 15 different text messages. I went, oh, what's this? I went, oh, God. So Quinshon Judkins is in trouble down in the state of Florida. Browns rookie running back, second-round pick. In trouble down there in Fort Lauderdale, Broward County, which he had a court appearance yesterday, Sunday court appearance, on a allegation of domestic violence, battery. It is a misdemeanor, and there are clips here from his lawyer this is the statement at the trial, or excuse me, at the appearance, and there's no trial yet, but at the appearance here of what David Weinstein had said. This is Quinshon Judkins' lawyer, because according to the, I'll read the statement first. According to the police statement, it said, on July 12th at approximately 9 a.m., Fort Lauderdale police officers responded in the 1500 block of West Cypress Creek Road in reference to a delayed battery. Officers arrived on scene and spoke with the victim. During their preliminary investigation, it was determined a battery had occurred. The officers made contact with the suspect and placed him into custody. He was transported to Broward County Main Jail. The suspect has been identified as Quinshon Judkins. They give his birth date. He's been charged with misdemeanor battery and in parentheses, domestic. So here is his lawyer, David Weinstein, about the timing of the report of the alleged incident. First off, go ahead.
It happened on July the 7th, according to the arrest affidavit. She didn't report it until the 12th. There was some type of a spectacle that she got involved in, and it wasn't until after that she made this after-the-fact report. Well, the A-form suggests that there are photos and bruising. There's no proof as to when those bruises took place.
Weinstein goes further in the Broward County courts about the claims that he's making claims that the woman did not try to leave Quinshon Judkins during the week.
State's overstating the facts here. It's alleged that there was an incident that occurred. They came down here as friends. And then after the incident, which she claims occurred on the 7th when they were leaving the airport, she then went on to stay with the defendant in Fort Lauderdale for 5 more days.
So this is a bit murky right now, to be honest with you. So there's no claims of innocence or guilt or anything like that I can make right now, obviously. He's obviously not in a good situation. It puts the Browns in a predicament, and I think that obviously the conversation then turns to what type of year it's going to be for Andrew Berry, the general manager who picked him, because this is 2 years in a row we've had a situation off the field with second-round picks. You know, one was Mike Hall, local guy last year. That kind of derailed the season altogether for him. Then the injury mounted afterwards, and now you have Quinshon Judkins, who's supposed to be the heir apparent for Nick Chubb.
Well, not to mention, I mean, obviously this was a few years ago, and it wasn't a second-round pick, but Perrion Winfrey is something that comes to mind as well.
So, I mean, you have I didn't see anything in the history of Quinshon Judkins that would throw it in there. Because, I mean, listen, we could sit here and talk about the long arm of the law and whether or not, he's been given a fair shake on any of this stuff. That'll be for the law to go out. What we're looking at, though, is what the NFL will do, because basically any allegation they're going to be looking into, they're going to look into this. And then eventually, I mean, what type of situation is he going to find himself in? Will he be suspended? Could he be suspended by the NFL? Because the NFL, they look at the look of the thing and may very well, with their investigation, that he ends up being suspended. And now you're in a situation where you just let a legend go. You brought in Quinshon Judkins. Okay, fine. We saw him in college. He was great in college. You have Dylan Sampson, who is very nice in college. But now, I mean, I think it's just deja vu for a lot of fans. And then it's another one of these you would call terminal mistakes by a general manager that has made how many? How many terminal mistakes has he made as a GM? Whether he was the guy who spearheaded the decision or not, he is still the guy who wears it as the GM of the football team. Go ahead, Tom.
Well, obviously, the first thing is we just played audio from the defense attorney here. Yes. We don't really have, and it hasn't stopped people from weighing in, because I saw definitely a pivot yesterday, because once once the defense attorney talked, everybody on Twitter was like, "Oh, never believe women," and it became a whole victim shaming thing. And I'm like, why did anybody have to react? Period. Like either way, we saw a report. It's going to play out in the courts, and with it's going to be adjudicated. Like let's wait and see. We don't even really know what the prosecution has outside of that preliminary statement and the discussion of the bruising. We don't have anything yet, so it's kind of silly to sit there and for people on social media, of all places, to sit there and determine whether or not he's guilty or innocent.
But I don't think that. Well,
kind of laughable.
You and I have a responsibility behind the mic, and neither of us are saying, "Well, he's a monster or he's a saint." You can't do that yet.
No,
we'll figure it out as time goes on when it comes to the court system down there, because there are some things here where you would go, "Wait, it's been a couple of days, 5 days." They were together the whole. So what had happened that led to something like this?
Right, and they obviously knew all of that when they charged him. They knew the timeline. They had talked to, the accuser here. So either way, we'll wait on that because it seems silly to jump to any conclusions. And I see people waiting like, look, I'm an advocate for victims, but this sounds fishy. It's like, well, it's silly either way. It's silly to weigh in on it. But in the end, just as far as Andrew Berry goes, like obviously this organization, they have taken a number of chances on individuals that they actually did know. They did know when there was an issue or there was something behind the scenes, with the Mike Hall situation. And, there was a weapon involved, right? When that happened last year. So that probably led to the suspension. We don't have any indication of that in this situation, but like Mike Hall, there were whispers that we had heard. And if there were whispers that we had heard, then clearly people within the NFL and the Browns, they had way more information on him and they took him. Like Perrion Winfrey was another one where there were plenty of rumors and that was a later pick. And typically how it goes is, depending on how talented you truly are, teams make the assessment of whether or not you're worth the risk. In this case, I don't know how anybody could go after Andrew Berry for this situation.
Zach Jackson's going to join us coming up this morning at 7:20. You say you don't know how anybody could. I think it's honestly, I just think it's another log on the fire, though. I disagree with you.
Well, I think you have enough ammunition. If you don't like Andrew Berry, you have enough ammunition with the win-loss record and their bad drafts in the past.
That's what adds.
And their inability to find a quarterback. Like there's plenty of stuff there. You don't have to throw this pick on a guy that had a sterling reputation beforehand.
This is still something that gets brought up. I'm sorry, because if he's not available to you, like the NFL could still find like, well, you've put yourself in a bad spot and we're suspending you for so and so and so and so. If he's not available to you, was he still not signed by the team? I think he was still not signed as of today. So that kind of puts a weird wrinkle into everything here. So what do? Do you sign a guy who has an out case right now that he's kind of going through? So they've really made this muddy for everybody with the Browns and in a season that's coming where we start training camp, in 7 days? In some earnest fashion, we get everybody together in 7 days and we get going for the 2025 season. If you have a guy that's not available, and the first thing I saw, other than what you were bringing up, which is true, the first thing I saw were people going, well, what are you going to, now you let Nick Chubb go, what are you going to do? And it's like, well, at some point, you got to replace legends at some point. You have to move on. You got a franchise there. It's not like the franchise stops. But damn, the guy you move on with, I don't believe he's going to, as of right now, looking what the NFL's history has been, I can't say he's going to be available to you. So if he's not going to be available to you for the foreseeable future, now it comes to Dylan Sampson and then Jerome Ford in a more pronounced role, where we've talked to the football people who say, no, he's a third down guy because he can break some things open for you. He's got that top end speed. Now you got to put him in a different role, in a role that probably doesn't suit Jerome Ford here, Tom. So it's an added on. Is it the critical mistake? No, but it's added on to everything, because I don't think that he would have known about any of this, I don't think that there was any history with Quinshon Judkins like you had just mentioned. But damn, I mean, this is right, ugly again.
That's why I don't understand how Andrew Berry is even getting brought up for any kind of a blame, especially that situation that we clearly don't know any of the facts. And the internet totally changed their mind on this story just because they heard a defense attorney. Like, so are we just going to change our mind again when we see what the actual case is from the prosecution? Like, we're very fickle when it comes to that stuff. But obviously, this was not one of the players that comes out flagged. Every year, the NFL has plenty of guys. In fact, teams' fan bases, they love getting a steal a little bit later in the draft. Some guy fell because there were some of those past issues or rumors, and this just doesn't fit the bill. That wasn't one of them. So again, I have plenty of reasons why I don't think Andrew Berry has done, a great job here as general manager. This just doesn't remotely come close to one of them.
216-474-0092. It's another mark on Andrew Berry, whether it's fair or not. Is there anybody that can make an argument for the guy right now? Is there anybody that can make an argument for the general manager?
Yeah, outside of we are considered a competent organization, finally, which is something the Browns have never been considered since they got, brought back in 99. Outside of that, which is a very low bar. I mean, because, there are plenty of competent organizations that both lose and whatever. But that's just about it. Like the fact that, Berry has had guys plucked and, this is finally seen as a professional organization that does a lot of things really well behind the scenes. Just hasn't equated to winning.
No.
At all. Sustained winning. And so, no, I don't think there's much of a case to be made for him at all. I'm surprised when people do make a case.
The question, because I think that some people wanted to make a case for him just because the season was starting. It's like, all right, well, these are the guys, and we'll see whether or not that they can hold on. But I don't think that there were that many people really, honestly, making a big case for him before all this. And then when this happened, it was a avalanche. And I know that I think the tenor has changed, just like you said, with what the defense attorney had said, because I think it does cause and it does bring in a doubt. Does it not? I think it does bring in which is exactly what a defense attorney is supposed to do.
Trying to do.
So when we see what the prosecution says at some point here, I think the tide will change a little bit as well, because even if it's muddy, even if it's questionable on any of this, it's still where the NFL will go, is it easier to just suspend, wait, whatever happens with the law, and then we'll figure it out from there? I think that's probably what the NFL does. So I can find them being in another Mike Hall situation last year where he might practice with the team.
Yeah.
He might play in preseason games, and then by the time the season,
it's very weird.
But you got to sign him for him to play in preseason games, don't you? So
a bunch of these second-round picks haven't signed around the league. It's not just like a Bengals situation.
Like 30 of 32.
Yeah,
you got to get
so.
So what do? Do you hand a guy who's got a case out against him money? I mean, you got to figure out you got to know.
Well, what's the rush now?
Before the judge? Exactly. You kind of got to know before the judge knows. So I would say he would find himself in a Mike Hall situation, but Mike was signed.
You asked me a question about Andrew Berry and the case to be made for him. What will get really interesting is the Travis Hunter part of this. And we haven't really talked a lot about that, but they're expected to lose. I mean, they've one of the Vegas has them as one of the worst teams in football this year. You can't find a lot of people outside of Sam Monson who think they're going to be anything this year. Their quarterback situation is confusing, to say the least.
Yeah.
And that's, again, by design from the general manager who decided to take two quarterbacks out of the draft. That's a bizarre setup. And then the Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett thing, again, bizarre setup. So it's going to be really, really hard. We'll see if maybe somebody emerges and then it's a very surprising thing altogether. But yeah, they're supposed to be bad, and they traded out. It was a pick that I thought was it was a trade that I thought was a great trade on draft night. But Travis Hunter is amazing, like instantly.
Yeah.
And the Browns are as bad as everybody thinks they're going to be. Like that's going to be way bigger than this, what we're talking about in this first segment, I think.
Well, I think you also have to play, but you have to play the long game, and I'll tell you why coming up in a bit. More on the Quinshon Judkins situation, because this is a hell of a situation we have here where you go, and I'm going to bring Mitch in here in a second because he has a question, and then we got phones, 216-474-0092. So people want to get in. We got Lima Likes at 643. I mean, it's a hell of a way to start a Monday morning here. When I go back to Mike Hall's situation last year, Tone, I mean, that was a misdemeanor charge. He was still suspended by the league. I mean, they really hammered him. The league really, really knocked him down on that one. And so when it comes to Quinshon Judkins, I'm to assume that the league is going to be the same way, because I was on the phone with you yesterday. I go, this is probably a lost year, depending on what these charges are and what they come out with. And you guys can look at it and go, well, we got to play out. Yes, the court of law does have to play out. I don't know if the court of law matters to the NFL. You're a rookie. There's nothing acquired there. There's nothing accrued there, I should say. And plus, how do the Browns now negotiate a contract with Quinshon Judkins when there's an open misdemeanor domestic violence case? How do you do that? Because if there's discovery and all the other things, you could find out there's going to be so much. We could find out there's nothing more. You could find out there's a bunch more. So now you're just in this limbo where it's like, hey, man, as I see it right now, it seems Jerome Ford may be running back 1 and Dylan Sampson might be running back 2 and Quinshon Judkins, that's just a question mark for the future. And you had brought up just how it'll look from the NFL standpoint of how the season goes, where you had brought up Travis Hunter. That's one where you're going to have to batten down the hatches. I think he'll probably...
there's been no talk of Travis Hunter after the fan base got whipped into a lather, right before the draft about getting him, talking about him as this all-time prospect where he was going to be a shutdown corner. And he was going to be this potent number 1 wide receiver, one of the more talented guys in recent history. I wasn't buying all of that, but I do remember that. And then poof, the minute we traded him, it's like, oh yeah, remember Travis Hunter?
You're going to have to batten down the hatches regardless on that, because I think that'll probably look good. I mean, Jacksonville's made draft picks before that weren't that good. I just thought that Travis Hunter is going to be a good football player, so he'll probably look good, but you have to play the long game of it going, all right, how much better is he really going to make Jacksonville? And this was all done probably to get your quarterback next year. So you're going to have to play the long game and figure that you're going to be better, but you're going to have to take the heat of it. And real decisions are made, but you're going to have to take the heat of it coming up this summer.